Okay, guys, so I'm going to be addressing a very important question of tyranny and how to defeat it, proven historically. And I'm going to have to be careful with the words that I use and what I say. So I'm hoping that you can pick up the message when sometimes it can't be as direct as I would like. So, first of all, I want you to imagine um, any tyrant in history that you can think of, or create one in your own head. So, a tyrant, let's go back, in history, and think about how they were defeated. So let me ask you a question. Can you think of any one of them that was defeated by people protesting and telling the tyrant that they didn't like the tyranny that they were enforcing and please stop? However they worded it. Can you think of any case of a tyrant going, good point, all right, fair enough, and stopping? Did that ever happen in history? I don't think there's a single example. Now, I'm not talking about when a tyrant hasn't got full power. I'm talking about once the tyranny is embedded and it's in place. Because it's not really tyranny until then, it's the preparation for. So that didn't work. So think about any other method that might work. Did it work by taking the tyrant to court within the legal system that the tyrant created? Has that ever worked? Can you bring a tyrant down using the system that he's created? I say he, just because pretty much all tyrants are he's, but things are changing modern days because most tyrants are puppets of other tyrants now, and they can be anybody. It can be a very weak man, can be a woman, can be a child. They can make anybody the face. So using the courts has never taken down, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but using the legal system, as far as I know, in history has never worked to take a tyrant down. Ever. Now, there are tyrants that have been taken down other ways that have then been taken before the courts or whatever, but not the courts that they've set up. So protesting has never taken a tyrant down. Taking them into the courts has never taken them down. How about non-compliance? How about just saying, I'm not going to do it? Has that ever worked to stop a tyrant? And again, no, it's never worked. Ultimately, a tyrant has the power to force you at gunpoint or you die. Dying doesn't work, other than it might inspire some people to do the things that are necessary, but it doesn't stop the tyrant. It's not, not a great strategy. And just refusing to do what they say, well, the nature of a tyrant is to use force. That will be, that they will put you in prison, or they will torture you, or they will kill you, or whatever they want, because they're a tyrant, right? So you might be able to refuse in the early stages before they're fully got everything set up the way they want. But once they're set up, no, you can't just refuse to do what they're saying. Unless you're prepared to die or spend your life in prison or whatever. That you can do that, but that's not going to defeat them. So protesting doesn't work. Refusing to comply, it doesn't work. Taking them to the courts that they've created and that they control doesn't work. These are all obvious failed strategies before you start. Now, does that mean that those things have no place? No, they may have a place. For one thing, protesting lets people know that you're not alone, and that's encouraging, and that can be a positive. So I'm not saying that they are useless, but they in and of themselves have never been responsible for taking a tyrant down, ever in history. So what does take a tyrant down? I can't tell you. I'm not allowed. That's where we are right now. I've got to be very, very careful. So what I will say is, history tells you. Think of any tyrant that's been taken down in history, and you know how he was taken down, and it wasn't by any of the things I just mentioned. So tyranny can be stopped, but it requires direct action that cuts through their system, doesn't play into the. They're fine. They don't mind you protesting. They don't mind. They can stop a protest if they want. Once they're in power, they can stop any protest. They can do all kinds of techniques. They can ignore it. They can lie that it didn't happen. They can attack the people with energy weapons today. In the past, obviously not. They did other things, but they've got a massive range of options. They might not like a mass protest. I'm sure they don't, for the most part. Although sometimes they like it because sometimes it gives them excuse to do things that they otherwise couldn't do. So actually, protests can play into their hands. For example, if they wanted to say for the protests of recent times that that was the cause of food shortages, gives them a perfect excuse to do what they were going to do anyway and blame the group of people that are their enemies, as an example. So, read between the lines. History tells you how to beat a tyrant. I can't do that needs to be done myself. I can play my part. One of the things that I do, which isn't going to take down a tyrant but helps, is they control the information. It's one of the things that they do. They control information. The Chinese are famous for controlling information that their people see. And so one of the ways that you can fight it in the early stages is to share information that they don't want shared. That's one of the things that you can do. And pretty much anybody can be involved in that. Is that going to take down the tyrant? No. But it might prepare the ground for somebody to do what's necessary. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you can think of any tyrant that's been taken down with protests, complaints, or any of the ways that were just mentioned, then just let me know. Just say, hey, what about whoever? Can't think of a name because all the ones I can think of, Hitler. What about Hitler? No. Well, obviously Hitler wasn't persuaded to stop by protests. So I don't think there is one. But if you can think of one, let me know. That'd be really interesting. And if there is one, it's probably a lie of history anyway. Because what tyrant is gonna do that? Give up their lust for power and control for the reasons just given. All right. God bless. Have a great day. Bye.